Yeah, man. Hold on for a minute. Let's just get right for a minute, man. Checking my Facebook
Purchase
page
your tracks today.
and my Instagram page and my Snapchat page. We'll get it back.
See you flossing on Instagram, stay posted on Facebook.
It's the I See What You're Doing podcast. I'm Mr. I See What You're Doing, and as always, I see what you're doing.
Yo, what up, man? You already know who it is. Once again, I'm back. There's a lot of stuff going on in the news right now. You know how I do. I like to go in and pick out what I like to have. And I like to go in and dissect the information. I appreciate the ones of you out there who tune in and keep it a buck with me. You know, hell, I appreciate the ones who tune in and hey, Robin, professional agitator, hashtag professional agitator. That's what Robin said about me. But I appreciate the ones who come in, check in with me. Give me 1 second. It always. All right. So, I'm appreciative of all of you, basically. You know what I'm saying? For your opinions and your desire to come on here and interact with me. Whether you're riding in the car, whether you're on the plane right now with your headphones in, whether you log into the YouTube page, make sure you go subscribe. Robin said you shouldn't go on that other show. She has a good show and you ruined it. Maybe, maybe not. We're going to see what happens later. We might team up and Robin and make one show between both of us, run 5 o'clock on Thursdays and 2 o'clock. And whenever she on Tuesday. Just wait to see. I think the chemistry was great, but that's not why I'm here. Let's get right into the cookbook, right? Because I'm mixing right now. Again, shout out to Robin. Shout out to everybody who took the time to rock out with me every week. Okay. So let's jump right into the intro. We're living in a moment right now where everything feels like it's tight. The conversations aren't just louder. They're sharper. The reasons aren't just faster. They're more emotional. And the space between disagreement and confrontation is shrinking in real time. What used to be political debates has turned into something more personal, more rooted in identity, and in some cases more rooted in fear. And when fear enters the conversation, everything changes. People start listening to understanding and start listening to defend. They start listening to understand and they start listening to defend. They start listening to understand and they start listening to defend. Robin and joke. That's the environment we're operating in today. So instead of just reporting headlines, we're doing something different. We're breaking down each story from both sides. Look at me coming in to give you an idea from both sides. Not to confuse the truth, but to expose the pressure behind it. Because every major issue right now doesn't just have facts. It has interpretation. I wanted to go into my story first, the first story, but I'm going to start from the bottom today because the last 3 stories that I'm going to go into are really interesting stories to me. So, first story is the DHS shutdown. First story is the DHS shutdown and how negotiations between political leaders is going right now. We are in the middle of a partial government shutdown, and the big thing that's happening is the Department of Homeland Security and all of the facets that are connected to the Department of Homeland Security are being affected. Why do I say that? Because we know that ICE was inside of the airports doing TSA agent work while the TSA agents were boycotting or taking the days off or calling out because they weren't getting paid. Budget negotiations highlight challenges in government and decision making. Shutdown discussions reflect deeper disagreements about priorities and policy direction. So what you're looking at here is 2 parties, Democrats and Republicans, fighting over concessions, things that they want in the bill and things that they don't want to see in the bill. This does not fare well for the American people, because at this particular point, we've all seen that the country seems to be in a shambles for some people's opinion, and seems to be running fine from other people's opinion. I know for a fact that if you see gas at $4.29, that is hitting everybody. Regular, everyday working people. It's affecting you in the grocery store as well. So, why does that happen? Because leverage creates urgency and forces progress in negotiations. That's on the side 8. Leverage creates urgency and forces process in negotiations, which means that it pushes the negotiations and the conversations forward to some kind of progress, right? What's not being said there is the motive behind why it's being pushed forward, or what's happening because of the push. You know what I'm saying? Side B of that, because I'm going to give you the pros and both sides of it. Side B, why that happens, is public impact raises concerns about dysfunction and effectiveness. Public impact raises concerns about dysfunction and effectiveness. What effectiveness are we talking about? We're talking about the effectiveness of our government to get things done on behalf of the American people. So one side, it forces the leverage that you have in those particular situations, as far as DHS is concerned, who is going to vote for what, and whether you can flip a Democrat or Republican to go your way. That leverage produces you to negotiate more, because you really want to get those things taken done. You want to get people back to work. You want to have people flourishing in their jobs. You want to have people being able to pay their bills and put food on the table without having to struggle, right? You don't want airports have to shut down, cancel flights because there's not enough workers and the staffing is not appropriate. So that's where the leverage comes in. The public impact raises concerns about dysfunction, because if you don't have enough staff at the airport to work in the airport, do the TSA things and the baggage carriers and all that, then you have a problem, because they cancel flights and people can't get to their destinations properly, or people that's going on vacation can't get back to where they got to go properly. I know down here in Florida, they had a situation where it was a problem because of spring break and the people that traveled for spring break and how they wanted to get back out of here to get back home to their loved ones and back to their everyday lives. So the dysfunction and the effectiveness of a government to push forth legislation or create a bill that covers everybody all at the same time, because you can't agree on bonuses and small pieces of the government, or bills, or a bill that covers everybody and looks fair to everyone, because that's the disconnect per se. It doesn't look good for everyone. It's either one-sided or the other side, but it's not even. So right now we're in the middle of a dick measuring contest, or vagina pussy measuring contest, or whatever, because everybody wants to have the upper hand in this thing, and it really affects America as a whole, economically, agriculturally, and socially as well. So what does that mean? That means that this situation reflects tension between strategy and public responsibility. These are all public workers. All of them work for, whether you want to believe it or not. We have to remember that the elected officials that we send to Washington and the Congress, even the president, are elected officials that work for the American people, and it's not the other way around. We tend to have forgotten that that's the way that it works, that it's always how it has worked until now, where it looks like they're trying to shift that and change it from something other than the American. As an American, Catherine said, as an American, what side of the government spectrum are you on? I'm neutral. I'm not on anybody's side, Catherine. I am on the side of what's right for the American people. I'm on the side of do the right thing for everyone. And I got a segment that comes later on in my show that I want to talk about where reality is starting to set in with not just the American people, but the people who run this country. So my stance is this: whether you Republican or whether you Democrat, whether you are independent or whatever the case may be, from a political standpoint, I'm not against any of it if it's done the right way. I can listen to a Republican, and if it sounds right and they're gonna stick to what it is, then it's fine. Let's do that. Democrat, if it sounds right, fine. But I mean, my stance has always been this here, and I say it again: it's hard to trust a lot of the politicians that we have in office right now. One, because they've sat in office so long that they've become complacent, and they understand and know they don't have to do a whole lot to continue to keep their job. And the other is they knew they were lying from the beginning when they went in, that what they said they were going to do and accomplish, one could not possibly be accomplished. And the other part of that is they really weren't going to do what they said they were going to do. The pro behind it is forcing negotiation and highlights the priorities for the American people, right? And the con behind that is it disrupts services and reduces public trust. So once you find that the government is not doing things in the favor of the American people and how and doing what they're saying is keeping their promises, then the problem lies in what you said and the promises you made, because nobody wants to trust or believe in a liar. So that's one thing. The other thing is just it's offensive to find out that some of their moral compasses have failed when we initially focused and thought that there was going to be great people to have in office. You know what I'm saying? So let's move on to the Iran strategy, because that's the second thing. And mind you, as I elevate this, things get deeper. So there are ongoing tensions in Iran between America and Iran. Those ongoing tensions require strategic decisions that impact global stability. So this war that we have is affecting everybody. I know we can only deal with what's happening to us in America, but it affects the world. It affects the world globally, because you have a situation where it's order. Everybody needs order when mostly everything that you have in the country or in the world needs to be oil, lubed up. You need oil to run gas and make refrigerators. Everything is centered around oil. So when you begin to affect that oil, and you begin to affect oil prices, and you begin to affect how oil is transported and distributed amongst the world, we have a problem. That's a global problem that could crash a global economy if not dealt with strategically. Actions are taken and evaluated not only by intent, but by how they are perceived internationally, which really plays back into what I just said. On the international level, on the world level, this particular conflict, I heard someone say war. Joe, you paying attention? When I said war before, when you say conflict, our president oscillates back between war and conflict. So, yeah, we are in the middle of a war over oil, resources that are somewhat not out. We have oil reserves here, I believe, in America that are not being tapped at all. We just tend to want to go out and get oil from other places, which is cool, because, I mean, you tend to negotiate back and forth and sell natural resources and products to countries that they don't have in their country. So this particular Iran strategy that they have right now, I don't believe is working. you get a lot of conversations about how America is continually in talks with Iran to end the war, is what I heard. But I don't believe that's the case, because while America is saying that, Iran is saying, no, that's not what we're doing. We have not agreed to that. You get it? So stay tight though, because as I'm saying, these are the prelude. These are the it's the pregame before we get into the game. Why does that happen? Strength establishes boundaries and deters threats while managing control. So if you show strength and you show your strength, as America shows nuclear strength, the military being strong, and things of that nature, it shows that you can't be bullied. But sometimes the same country that looks to be showing that they can't be bullied ends up looking like the bully, and that's the other side of that. Actions can be misrepresented, leading to escalation and unintended consequences, because nobody likes a bully, right? We all have these great campaigns in America and around the world, anti-bullying campaigns, and on the world level, we have countries that look at America and think that we're just bullies because we enter to everyone's country. Venezuela, Argentina. I heard the president say that he feels like he can do whatever he wants and take Cuba if he wanted to, right? Because of the status of that country, poor, they don't have any oil and things like that. That's a bully, man. Because what the bullies do, they take stuff from people that they deem to be less or not as big, as powerful as they are. Sometimes that can be misinterpreted, because maybe devil's advocate. Maybe America is trying to shit. I'm trying to get it out. Maybe America is really trying to help these countries, help them, save them from who, I don't know. But maybe America is really trying to help. Strategy must be balanced and must balance strength with the awareness of perception and reaction, right? The pros of that is it reinforces a strategic position. So America is constantly going to reinforce their position on certain things, just as well as Iran, Israel. By the way, while I'm here, my question would be, who are we really fighting the war for? Okay. Now, this is the turn when I turn off and I veer off to the left just a little bit. Who are we fighting a war for? Are we fighting a war on behalf of Israel? Because I came across a story that said Israel was excited about being able to execute people that went against values that they had. When I mean Israel is a holy land, if I'm not mistaken, right? And I know that Israel and America are in unison with this particular war. So I'm not sure what the back end of it is. I'm still researching it, and I'm not sure what the motive is behind it. But I don't think that America is acting at this particular point under acting solo on its own. So stay tuned, because I'll get to the bottom of that. Let's go back into the pro in that, with reinforcing strategic position, and then the risk of the con in that is the risk of escalation and global impact. And I've been on shows where I kind of felt like eventually, if this doesn't get de-escalated soon or expeditiously, then what we're looking at now as a war that's considered to be between Iran and the United States could turn into a world war. And I'm not here to put fear in your heart. I'm just telling you that eventually it could become bigger than what it is. And I would hate to see that because the world does not need another world war. I mean, we have enough of our young men and women going off to war and facing calamities and their families having to endure tragic losses because of a war that could have been taken care of with diplomacy, which is what's missing in all of the action that's going on. There's no diplomacy happening between these countries. It's just do what I say, or I'm going to nuke you, or do what I'm coming to kidnap the president, and all of the jargon and verbiage that goes along with that. The next story I want to get into is one that interests me, and mind you, I'm going to go on about this for a while, but I just wanted to. It's going to sound like conspiracy theory, but let's just keep it up. Let's just be realistic about what you hear. Okay, so NASA just launched the Artemis 2 mission, and when they kept saying on the news, they said, "We're going to the moon. We're going to the moon. We're going to the moon." The Artemis mission is to the moon. Until I realized and heard, after going and doing research, that nobody's going to land on the moon. The Artemis mission represents advancement in space exploration and long-term positioning and innovation in technology. It reflects a commitment to future development and exploration beyond Earth. Now stop right there. Because when I caught that excerpt from a story, it confused me because I was like, wait a minute. Exploration beyond Earth. The story went, the Artemis 2 was going to orbit the moon, circle the moon for 10 days. And I'm fascinated by that because doesn't the moon orbit Earth? Still fascinated by the fact that the moon orbits Earth, and then Artemis is going to circle the moon for 10 days. Historically, they're going to send the first African American, the first woman, and two other people. A Canadian, they're going to send a Canadian. I don't agree with my friend Joe. I find you very intelligent and highly informative. I will be back next week to catch the whole show. Catherine said, I do not agree with my friend Joe. I find you very intelligent and highly informative. I will be back next week to catch the whole show. Thank you, Catherine. I appreciate that. So my thing was, how do we get here? You know what I'm saying? How do we get here? To where we had put in history, fine, because I'm big history, right? We had put in history that America, Buzz Aldrin in the game, had went to the moon and landed on the moon. There's a few things I have a problem with that, and I'll go ahead and expound on a lot of them right here, right now. First thing being this right here. And I'm going to play devil's advocate. But I'm also going to continue on with the information I collected. Why does one go to the moon? Exploration drives innovation and positions leadership in future industries. That's the A side. The B side, resource allocation raises concerns about addressing immediate need on Earth. Two things. Second thing, go right into what would we need off the moon that we don't have on Earth. The reason why I say that is because it is my understanding up until this particular point in history that we had already been to the moon and we had already landed on the moon. Yeah. As a child, I understood that, and I grew up and I realized something. We have an International Space Center that's able to sit in space stationary. Or is it orbiting as well? And then we have a moon where you were able to land on the moon and the Mars and the rover, because you remember the pictures that they showed them walking on the moon, but they also had vehicles that were on the moon. My problem with that was no gravity. How do those particular vehicles stay on the moon and able to maneuver across the moon with no gravity? Because the moon has no gravity, if I'm correct. Second thing is this right here. If we had already been to the moon, there should not be a problem with us being able to go back to the moon. So just circling the moon raises a whole lot of questions. But before I do that, I wanted to point out this. Rick, don't you find it weird that we launched a rocket during war? Rick said, don't you find it weird that we launched a rocket during war? Rick, absolutely, because what I had started off a couple of weeks ago saying was Iran and the United States was in cahoots with each other, and nobody ever took the time to think that maybe I was making a little bit of sense. Everybody went, "Oh, conspiracy! I'm just a terrible person. I'm an agitator and things like that." Joe, if you're listening, man, check in, because Robin was here and Catherine said that you were her friend and she didn't find out where I was a terrible person or agitator. But she didn't say agitator, but I mean, you get it just right. Give me 1 second, all right? So the puzzling thing for me was this right here, because I watched the video many times. Hear me out. Just hear me out. The president called outer space from a landline. Do you realize that? Nobody ever takes the time to think what's really being said when you call outer space and congratulate the astronauts from a landline. And my issue with that is this right here. I have 3 cell phones that if I ride on the interstate travel, I go through a dead space, my calls drop. Hell, I be inside the city limits sometime and my calls drop. So I'm kind of wondering, what kind of technology allows you to call outer space from a landline? That's a long way away. And I'm not saying that we didn't go to space. I'm just saying that some of the stuff that's happening doesn't make sense. But listen, so you got gravity, but you got machines that can drive across the moon. You got a flag that you left on the moon, that you stuck in the moon. We saw that. We know. We saw that. You didn't drill it in anything like that. You just took it and raised it up and then you stuck it in the ground. And we never went back to take a picture of that flag on the moon. Ebony Queen 7954 said, my favorite host. Thank you, Ebony Queen. So we never went back to check and make sure that the flag was still there, let alone the rovers or whatever, whether they floated off or whatever, because we have a tendency to go and leave stuff behind. Go for it, right? What if we're in a deficit, right? And that space program is funded by the United States government. We have a problem with being able to fund DHS and all of the programs that they've cut. What's the budget for sending someone into outer space? Don't worry, I don't gotta wait. The budget is crazy. You can allocate money there, but you got a government shutdown that's in the middle of a government shutdown, and you don't have the money to fund. Catherine said, "I love the Barry White voice with politics." Thank you, Catherine. So you have a budget to send someone into outer space. Rick made a point that said you're able to send a rocket, you're able to launch into outer space during conflict time or wartime, right? And then my question is this: if you went to the moon once, what's hard about? Why would you circle the moon for 10 days, but you have not been back to the moon since the first time? You created an International Space Center, and you have not been back on the moon since the very first time that you went to the moon. And that's a concern for me, right? Because I mean, hey, damn, what we really doing, right? And my point is, I'm an outside the box thinker. So when I get on here, I really want people to think for themselves, why does that make sense? Remember, landline. Hey, this is the president. Congratulations on reaching the moon. What's the phone number to outer space? What's the phone number to that spaceship that they call? What's the number? Need I say more? Let's move on to the next one. And I call this one accountability versus pressure. So leadership decisions are being evaluated under public scrutiny. Wow, ladies, please do not be tempted by this professional. Robin said, ladies, please do not be tempted by this professional agitator. He is very smooth. Robin, you got me blessing. Robin, I'm almost wanting to think that Robin has a crush on me, and I welcome that kind of stuff, Robin, because hey man, it goes along with with what I'm doing. But back to what I was saying, leadership decisions are being evaluated under public scrutiny, highlighting how accountability and pressure influence outcomes. These situations develop over time and reach a tipping point where action is expected. Now, Robin. Robin said, "I'm a professional woman. You wish." Oh, Robin, you don't know. You don't know You don't know my credentials, man. I can assure you, you don't know my credentials. But I mean, ain't nothing wrong with having a crush on me. I'm a handsome dude. You hear my baritone voice, like Catherine said. You see these features I have. But I mean, I guess. So, accountability versus pressure, right? We go into a situation and we want to hold our government officials accountable, because accountability ensures standards are maintained and leadership remains trustworthy. Right? Other side of this pressure can lead to reactive decisions that prioritize immediate response over long-term strategy. So, what we're doing right now, Catherine says she is just hating, probably has an old fat man at home. Continue on, young man. Thank you, Catherine. So, right now, our government feels under pressure. And I mean, here's where I began to turn the corner, because like I said on news, our government feels under pressure to fulfill the agenda of our president, right? And I can't say that I could, but let me just keep. A president has to be level-headed. You can't make erratic decisions, and you can't do whatever you want to do. There's laws and there's rules that must be abided by, and once you break those laws, the thing goes bad. But I mean, let's be honest, we're dealing with a president that has more felonies than anybody on the planet, from what I think. Or if not, he got to be in the top 10, right? I'm not saying that there should not be any pressure, but there's a way to approach our leadership, our government officials, that says this: we're going to hold you accountable for your actions when they begin to affect the people that you have sworn to fight for, right? But again, I always wanted to let you know that at the end of it, I understood what happened. The desire is to come up and become a decision maker, but become a part of the who's who in Washington and in the States, right? Shot caller, right? So you will tend to go and lie to your constituents and say, this is what I want to do when I get there, right? The hope is that you don't don't have to be affected by pressure, and you don't have to be accountable for what you're doing, because that would be unfair to you, right? Then you will claim that your hands are tied and you can't get what you need to get done because someone's hindering. Honesty goes a long way when you're dealing in politics, right? The balance between accountability and pressure determines the effectiveness of leadership decisions. So you have to have a balance. You can't be one-sided. Oh, because we play golf together, our kids go to school together, whatever. Or you have it. You want to fit in, because most of them they go to Congress and walk into these particular rooms, want to fit in because they've been on the outside of the conversation. And when you're outside, you have great ideas on how to make it work. But then when you get inside, if you're not strong, you conform to what's going on already, right? So accountability maintains standards and transparency. Pressure can create instability and rush decisions. So to those politicians out there that are paying attention, we want you to be accountable for what you're doing. We don't want you to feel like you're being pressured to do anything, because that's just not the way. Here we go. If you saw the presidential address last night, and this is where I start to move around a little bit. If you saw the presidential address last night, and I'm sure a lot of you did, you heard our president deliver an address under tension. And for a long time, I will let you guys have your president. And excuse me for a moment. I will let you guys have your president, but I mean, just because I didn't vote for him doesn't mean that he's not my president as well. I'm growing as we speak. I'm growing as we talk. So the tension served as both communication and stabilization. It provided a framework for how the public interprets events and helps guide national response. The structure and tone are intentionally designed to provide clarity while also shaping perception. I found 5 points that I wanted to bring up to you. And if you give me just a second, I'm going to get right to those 5 points. One of them was a call for unity by our president. A call for unity, but I mean, let's just be honest, right? If you call for unity, then you have to be, who is the unity that you're calling for? Robin just filed my 23rd complaint with Facebook. That's kind of cool. Robin says she filed a 23rd complaint with Facebook. If you call for unity, right? If you call for unity, then there has to be a point where you believe that the country needs to be unified. That means that there was a breakdown somewhere. There was a separation. We've always known there's been a separation, a divide in this country. Should there continually be a divide? I don't know. I don't think so. But I mean, who am I, right? I'm just a young man who comes on here and speaks my opinion on things. There was a lot said. I'm not going to go into a whole bunch of it, because you should go back and see and hear what the president said. He made a lot of claims that we know are not accurate, And he said a lot of things that he has great aspirations on doing. But in order to get them done, you have to have a country that stands and operates from the name of the country, the United States of America. You have to be united, and you have to be a united front. You go into war while you go into two wars. You have a war inside of the government, and you have a war going on with a country that you've always been in cahoots with. Identity creates loyalty, right? This is why this happens. Identity creates loyalty. When people connect personally with a movement, because MAGA is a movement, they engage more deeply and consistently. This creates a long-term influence that extends beyond individual election cycles. What you're seeing right now, MAGA, the first time there was Make America Great Again, we saw a certain portion of the country unite. And then when Biden came in, they kind of dispersed a little bit, and not so much all the way, but dispersed a little bit. And we're in the second portion and the second round of MAGA, and you can see that same trend, right? Because it's the movement. That's the MAGA movement. Just like the Black Lives Matter movement or any other movement that happens. Everybody catch the wave, right? The problem with this movement is that now there's a reassurance thing going on between the president and that movement, because some of those people that believe in the policies and believe in what was being said are now starting to pull away from it altogether. I've seen videos where people are burning the MAGA hats and all of that. Part two of why that happened, identity also creates division. When beliefs become personal, disagreement becomes confrontation. This reduces the ability to compromise and increase polarization. So that's what you're looking at right now. MAGA, make America great again. And then the people who disagree with that particular slogan. Because has America ever really been great? And then the other thing that you look at, great for who? Because it's not always been great for all people. That's the thing I've been saying for the past few weeks. America has not always been great for all people. My next segment is going to blow the wheels off. Robert, stay tuned. I'm coming your way. So, it reduces the ability for our government to function properly, because the ideology behind MAGA is distorted and separatist. It's divisive. It's absolutely divisive. It's not inclusive. It doesn't include all American people. It singles out a certain group of people. And remember, before you go and call me anything other than the man delivering information, I do not believe that race is a color. Race has everything to do with money, because if you don't have the right amount of money, you can't get into the room where the real decisions are being made. You don't get to make. You can't pick up a phone and make a phone call and change the trajectory of anything or change the way that things are going in this country. You don't have access to the decision makers who make decisions in this country. All you can do is write a letter or whatever. But there's someone somewhere that can pick up the phone or go into office and meet with those same people. That's when they go to their galas and all of them events, and they get to express how they feel right in front of the congressman or the senator or the mayor or whatever, because they have the social status and the funds to be. Joe said, Catherine, hey, Joe, you got to really be optimistic and listen to what I'm saying, but it makes sense. But you don't have opportunity to go into those particular places and spaces and talk directly with those senators, congressmen, mayors, city councilmen, or anything like that. So it's definitely not about a race. It's about the ability for you to pay for a $10,000 plate, or pay to go to a gala, or pay to go to an event or a fundraiser held by those particular people. Okay, so what that means is the movement reflects a shift towards identity-driven politics, increasing both engagement and division at the same time. So remember the identity of MAGA and how it first came to be. The undertone of what it was. I know that it was racially fueled, still racially fueled, because I mean, that's, again, you can see the division. Catherine, sorry, Joe, I like him. Catherine said, sorry, Joe, I like him. He's very intelligent. I have to disagree with you on this case. Sorry again, but I would not sign off on this show. Catherine, thank you again. So, in this country, we are the United States of America. Watch me say, we are the United States of America. We have to come together as a country, because if we're divided, we know that a house divided can't stand. That's where the turmoil and the chaos comes. There's nothing wrong with being able to afford someone an opportunity to live out an American dream. As has always been spoken of in history books as the greatest opportunity in the world. Robin said, professional agitator. For you saw immigrants and everybody that came over this country on the Mayflowers and all of that shit right there. All of the people who came here and became American citizens and had a chance to grow. And now we're going to snatch back those liberties. Or not we, but there's a government that wants to snatch back those liberties, or a portion of the government that wants to snatch back those liberties, like birthright citizenship. If you allow someone to take back birthright citizenship for babies that are going to be born in this country, then eventually they go and they determine and decide who gets to be an American citizen, who doesn't get to be an American citizen. Those type of things that come up in the news are the things that I come to talk about, because listen, if you're not going to stand up for something, then you're going to fall for anything. You just going to let this type of stuff happen. And it doesn't affect this skin tone only. It affects everyone in America. Now, the approach to that is strong engagement and consistent messaging. We want strong engagement. We want consistent messaging. We want the messaging to be positive, and we want the messaging to be beneficial and motivating to everyone. Yes, ma'am. Catherine says, "This your only show." I'm a fan. Absolutely, Catherine. This is why I show up at, man, to do my thing. And shout out to Catherine, man, because I needed that motivation. The other thing is that increase polarization and reduce this compromise, right? So just be mindful of where you're at right now, because that MAGA evolution is a tough one, man. It's really a tough one. Speaking of MAGA, did you guys see where the president actually came out and admitted that he needs to reevaluate what MAGA stands for? Because hang tight, I'll tell you. This situation highlights the tension between real risk and perceived risk, but influence behavior and both shape how society responds, whether driven by fact or perception. Once something is seen as possible, it begins to affect how people think and act. So people believe that Make America Great Again was this great movement. And in your mind, you had to have once deemed that America was great, right? Catherine said, Joe has not been speaking very highly of you at work. Highly about you at work. I will change the conversation tomorrow. Promise. I'm his boss, Catherine. Oh, wow. So listen, Make America Great Again would insinuate that America has, at one point, sometime in history, been great. Now, this is what the president said. He said that he needed to change that narrative because the moniker and the ideology of MAGA says that America was great. Something happened that made America not ungreat or not great anymore, and then he came along to make America great again. So, the greatest country in the world, if Trump is able to move MAGA along, make America great again, means that the greatest country in the world has not always been great. That's the thing that he wants to change. He wants to change that because he said that nobody catches the idea that he says that make America great again, which means that as the president, Joe says, so you're shutting the case. I will not stand for that. I'm going over your head. Okay. So that would mean, hey, Joe, don't lose your job trying to, never mind. So that would mean that the greatest country in the world, the president of the United States, came out on both his campaigns, and without saying so directly, Catherine said, good luck, buddy. Came out on his campaign and said that America was not great and that he needed to make America great again. That's exactly what that means. It raises awareness of political climate and potential risk and encourages deep examination of rhetoric and impact and its impact. That's the pro behind what he said. It made you look at America and everybody agreed with him, or a portion of this country agreed with him, that America has not always been great. Without even knowing what you had just done, you agreed with the president and said, he's right, America's not great anymore. And we need someone to come in and save us and make America great. Catherine said, maybe you should catch a case for false accusations and defamation of character. Would you like to press charges, sir? Me make a case against Joe? Absolutely not, Catherine. Joe's just voicing his opinion. And as an American citizen, I defend everybody's right to voice their opinion. Now, I don't think that Joe really means what he's saying. I think that Joe, some of the things I say are truth hurts people. So, no, ma'am, Catherine, I don't want to hurt Joe. I think Joe's a great guy. Joe is just operating from his right to freedom of speech. I operate from, as a journalist, from a space where if Joe was out reporting me, then you should report every journalist in America for saying these type of things. I apologize, though, Joe. You're a good guy, and this show does not seem like your riot calls you Joe. I'm confused. Yes, ma'am. I am a good guy. I'm for the American people. So to close up what I'm saying about MAGA, we allowed someone to come into. We allowed an American citizen who, truthfully, his family goes back to his family originated from another country. Come in and assess the country and say America was not great and that America needed to be made great again. And then I think someone tapped him on the shoulder and told him that that was not the ideology to have. So he came back and repositioned himself on MAGA. And I can't wait to see what MAGA is going to mean next. So yeah. And last but not least, and this is because I wanted to, this is because I'm on the side of justice, right? And I can't say whether can't say whether or not it's always going to be this way. And Charlie Kirk's wife has been in the news a lot, but I just want to double back because I don't know who has seen the story. And there has been a lot of growing conversation around targeted political scenarios with detailed discussions around executions, positioning, and ballistics. What makes this moment different is how the conversation shifted from reaction to analysis. Instead of simply asking what happened, people are asking how it happened and what it represents. The shift signals a deeper change in how political conflict is being processed by the public. Rather than seeing events in isolation, people are connecting them to a broader climate of tension. This creates a narrative that extends beyond one situation and into a pattern of concern about where things may be heading. The level of detail being discussed introduces a sense of seriousness that changes the tone of the conversation entirely. So I'm going to take this moment and close out just like this. What I just read to you was the thought that we had about Charlie Kirk's wife and the shooting and the killing of Charlie Kirk. I've always been on the side of what's right. I've always been able to say that I don't believe that someone should die because of their views on anything. I would defend your right to say whatever you have to say, regardless of whether you agree with me or not. So, recently in the news, there was a inconclusive finding on whether the bullets that killed Charlie Kirk and the bullets that was found with the young man who is being said to have killed Charlie Kirk matched. It's inconclusive. Thank you, Catherine. Catherine said, "Great show. It's inconclusive." Here's the thing: if it's not conclusive, and those bullets don't match the gun that they found on the young man, then someone's still out on the loose. There's a killer on the loose with the potential to murder and kill people over their political views. And I won't support that. I won't support someone being accused of a crime that they didn't commit because the ideology was to just hurry up and grab something. I won't applaud someone being wrongly incarcerated. I'm sure that there's going to be some more information on that, but as of right now, what it stands is that inconclusive is one way to say it. The wrong ammunition is another way to say it. You have the wrong person is another way to say it. Do I know any of that? Absolutely not. But I do know this: inconclusive kind of moves toward it not being those particular rounds. Once again, my heart goes out to the Kirk family and his wife, because no one deserves to lose their husband over their or a loved one over political opinions or anything else. But if you close the case check and say, yeah, we got the right person, and you find inconclusive, then you may want to open the case back up and go back and look up the evidence again, because you could be missing you could not have the right person unless that was a person who was supposed to pay the penalty for that particular crime. Right? I don't agree with it, but I mean, again, that's not my call to make. So, make a long story short, Catherine, I love you. I appreciate you, Joe. As always, man. I'm not going to take. I'm going to take the high road on this one, man, because I'm going to defend your rights. You say what you have to say. Robin, I love you, man, for checking in and filing those complaints. As always, keep your head on the swivel. And always remember, I see what you're doing. And I'll let y'all later.
www.enter-effect.com for more info, beats, and designs.
Yeah, man.
Beats available for $30 and exclusive beats starting at $150.
Make your next move. Shine along with your girl, I do my do. Yeah. So we can all go. Hey man, I'm going in there with this bill, man. CBR the team.